Xiong's wife. This is based on a true story back in Laos. Back in Laos, when Hmong people were still wearing Hmong clothes, a sister and her sister-in-law went to the farm early in the morning, each of them wearing two necklaces, the silver plaits around the neck. When they got to the farm, the sister-in-law, the sister, to go pick cucumbers from the top of the hill, and sister-in-law herself will go pick cucumbers from the bottom of the hill. The sister did as she was told and went up the hill to pick cucumbers. Once her back basket was filled with cucumbers, she returned down to the spot that her sister-in-law directed her to go uphill and called downhill to her sister-in-law. She called, "Sister-in-law, is your back basket full yet? If it's full, come up and let's go home." But there was no reply. She called a few more times, yet there was still no reply. Fearing something had gone wrong, she quickly set her back basket down and rushed downhill to check on her SIL. When she reached downhill, her sister-in-law was nowhere in sight, but next, a tree stump was her sister-in-law's back basket filled with cucumbers. Next to her sister-in-law's back basket was one of her sister-in-law's necklaces. Sister-in-law scanned the surrounding again, checking to see if there has been any struggles within the area, but noticed no difference. More downhill, there was a small river. So the sister thought to herself, maybe her sister-in-law went down to the river after picking cucumbers to wash her hands. So the sister decided to go down to the river to look for her sister-in-law. But after about 10 steps forward, the sister saw the other Zolv of her sister-in-law. By now, her heart started racing, but she quietly told herself to be brave and ran all the way down to the river. Once she reached the river, she called out to her sister-in-law again, and once again, there was no reply. Now she was really scared, so she turned back and started running up the hill, grabbing both her sister-in-law's necklace as she passed them all the way to her own back basket and put it back on and rushed home. When she reached home, she told her parents and Xiong, the brother that married her sister-in-law, what had happened. Xiong quickly went and gathered about 15-16 men in town to go look for his wife, each man carrying guns and knives in their hands. However, after a whole day of searching, there was still no sign of his lost wife. Night started covering over the hills. A couple of men started saying, "It's getting dark and we can't find any sign of her, so let's go home and return back tomorrow to look again." Crying, Xiong replied, "No, we are men here with knives and guns. There is nothing to fear. We should continue this search till we find my wife." Although most of the men wanted to leave because they were starting to feel chills, seeing Xiong crying, they felt bad for the man, so they decided to continue the search with him. But the deeper they went into the woods looking for Xiong's wife, the more chills they started feeling. With each chill, goosebumps started rising on their fleshes, and their heartbeats started racing. About 10 minutes later, Xiong heard his wife's voice echoing in the air. "Xiong, I'm over here. Come over here." Xiong turned to the rest of the men and said, "I hear my wife calling me over there. She said she's over there. Did you guys hear it too?" All the men now stopped dead in track and glanced at each other. They shook their head and replied, "No, we did not hear anything." Before Xiong could say anything else, he heard his wife's voice calling him again. He looked towards where his wife's voice was echoing from and pointed ahead. "My wife is calling me from ahead, so we are going to move ahead." Before anyone could stop Xiong, he pushed on forward. Hearts racing faster and fear beaming on all the men's face, they trailed closely after Xiong. 5 minutes later, everyone, including Xiong, stopped dead in track again. For this time, they all heard Xiong's wife's voice ranging in the air. "Xiong, I'm over here! Come over here!" One of the men noticed the voice was too close to them, so he quickly said, "Your wife sounds very nearby. Let's get our guns ready." Everyone started pulling bullets out of their pockets and stuffing it in their guns. As Xiong reached into his pockets for his bullets, he pulled out instead his wife's ring. By now, Xiong's heart shook with chills as he said quietly, "This is my wife's ring. She wore it this morning. How did it get into my pocket?" Upon hearing this, Everyone now shook with fear of what was going on, but they pushed forward. However, after 3 to 4 steps only, they saw on the ground in front of them Xiong's wife's dead body, which was torn and eaten all by something. The only parts left were the head connected to half her neck and left shoulder to her arm.